witnessed, since 92.
Yeah, David. So our fourth Republican dispensation is 31 years. Interestingly, when I was compiling the data, I realized that we had that's the one until they make it the 31st by-election, meaning that 1 year, one by-election. And it's a bit interesting. But David, let's go through the numbers. So we had 30 by-elections because the Kumawu one hasn't happened. So we had 30 by-elections. The MPP has won 50% of it. That is 15 by-elections. The NDC had won 43%. That is 13 of them. The CPP has won 1. And an independent candidate has also won 1. And every day data is available on my job online. When you Google it, you find it and maybe go through. Now, David, when you go to the first parliament of the Fourth Republic, that spanned from 1993 to 1996. Normally, the date is a bit confused. So let me say 7th January 1993 to 7th January 1997. We had 4 by-elections. That was in New Dubiasi in 1993, where the NDC won. There was also Wenchi East in 1995, where the NDC won. Tano South in 1995, the NDC won. And Navrongo Central, that was when an independent candidate won. And I'll tell you more about these candidates when we go on. And let's not forget, the MPP boycotted the parliamentary elections of 1992 because that was the time where we vote the presidential before we do the parliament. And they felt that they were cheated by Jerry John Rawlings and his cohorts in the NDC, so they boycotted that election.
That was when Professor Dubois was there.
Yes, that was when they brought Professor Dubois. So the independent candidate for Navrongo Central was when the late John Situni Achilovo, forgive me, Charlie. He died in an accident in January 2003. He was then serving as the first MPP MP for Navrongo Central. So he entered parliament as an independent candidate and later joined the ticket of the MPP, and unfortunately he died. Now, David, so the first parliament of the Fourth Republic, 4 by-elections. The NDC won 3, 1 independent candidate. Now let's go to the second parliament of the Fourth Republic. That spanned from the 7th of January 1997 to the 7th of January 2001. We had 2 by-elections at Lambushi. In 1999, the NDC won, and at Blekuma Central in 1999, the MPP won. Now, the Lambushi by-election was won by a then 38-year-old teacher. She was called Alice Benny-Boone. He defeated the MPP's candidate and replaced the late MP. The MP there was an NDC MP. He was called Luku, and he died. The woman subsequently went on to serve in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th parliament of this republic. The Blekuma Central by-election was also occasioned after the death of Clement Samuel Crab, and that by-election was also won by an MPP candidate in the name of Victor Okulu Nete. So that is the second parliament too. And let's go to the 3rd parliament of this republic. We experienced 7 by-elections, 7. So far in the data, I think that it is the one of the highest. So if you're a student of politics, you can note that the highest number of by-elections we've had is the 3rd parliament of the Fourth Republic. That spanned from 7 January 2001 to 7 January 2005. That was the first term of President Kufuor. And Kumawu 2002. That was when Rio Baswa had died. He came in 1996. He won the seat for the MPP. He died in 2002. Then you remember when the MPP was opening the nomination to contest, that one that elected Ernest, who is now contesting for them. A certain guy came called Yao Ban. He won that by-election for the MPP in 2002. He was a lawyer Yao Ban. He won that by-election. So Kumawu 2002, there was Bimbila. And let me tell you about Bimbila. That Bimbila election, that by-election was won by the current defense minister, Dominic Nitiwu. At that time, he was the youngest ever member of parliament to enter, that chamber. He was 22 years at the time when he became member of parliament. There was also Williamsey in 2003 where the MPP won. There was Navrongo Central 2003. The independent candidate who entered parliament in 1995 through a by-election. He joined the MPP ticket and he died. He was on his way to the northern region. That was when the conflict in the north was happening. So he was on his way to attend a meeting and he died. So that occasioned the by-election in Navrongo Central in 2003. Then there was also the Gomoa East in 2003. There was a Menfi West in 2003. There was Upper Dentra 2004, which is in the central region, and the MPP won. So in the 3rd parliament, there were 7 by-elections. The MPP won all of them. Kumawu, Bimbila, Williamsey, Navrongo Central, Gomoa East, Amenfi West, and Upper Dentra. MPP won all of them. So that's also another fun fact that you can notice. But let me just say that when you go through the Amenfi West, the Amenfi West seat was held by an NDC parliamentarian. Then he died. When they went for the by-election, the MPP flipped the seat and won it. So that's also a fact we have to note. Now, David, let's go to the 4th Parliament. The 4th Parliament. There were 6 by-elections in the 4th Parliament. That spanned from the 7th of January 2005 to the 7th of January 2009. We had Asamasi 2005, and we all know how that by-election went. It was won by now Colossus Mubarak Muntaka. After the MP for Asamasi died, he was called Dr. Jibril Adamu. He died, I think, just 3 months after he was elected in the 2004 elections, and Muntaka won that by-election. Then there was also Ododudio Dio. There was a by-election in 2005, which was won by the NDC. There was Offenso South 2006, which was won by the MPP. There was Tamale Central 2006, which was won by the NDC. Fomena 2007, certainly you don't need to be a Jewish prophet to know the MPP will win. Then there was also Nkoranza North, where the MPP won. So a little bit of fact on there, because Ashanti region, let me do a bias and talk more on the Offenso South. The seat was won by Dr. Owusu Echao, who replaced the sitting member of parliament who unfortunately died. He was called Kwabena Safo. So he died, and the MPP won the seat back with Dr. Owusu Echao Dia. I think it's the seat currently held by the Deputy Minister for, I think, Regional Reintegration, also Collins in team also. Yes, Collins in team, because the North was held by Banda. Then he lost. The former chairman of the Parliament's, I think, Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament. Yes, he is the now, I think, coordinator for Zongo Development. If you're a listener, I'm wrong, can correct me. Now, David, let's go to the 5th Parliament, the 5th Parliament of this Republic. There were 3 by-elections. And David, there's an interesting angle here. You know, this hooliganism, violence, acrimony by-elections. From the 5th Parliament, that is where we began seeing symptoms of these things. And when I mentioned the by-elections, I think that many Ghanaians remember some of them. So let's go through it. And the 5th Parliament spanned from the 7th of January 2009 to the 7th of January 2013 or 2013. David, Chirpone. You are laughing. Do you remember what happened in Chirpone? 2009, where the NDC won. There was Jirapa in 2009, the NDC won. And the Tiwa 2010, where the MPP won. So, David, in Chirpone, the by-election was held on the 29th of September 2009 to elect a member of parliament to replace Doris Seidu. It was a female member of parliament. He passed away, and the seat was held by an NDC MPP MP. This is why it was acrimonious. The seat was held by an MPP MP. She was a lady. She was called Doris Seidu. She died in August 2009. The by-election was occasioned. Then the NDC snatched the seat through a member of parliament.
You used the word flipped when the MPP won it from the NDC. Yes. Now you're using what? Snatched.
Yes. I did English in KWS, so let me use my vocabulary.
So snatching and then flipping, all the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, the NDC guy won. He was called Samuel Jabanyiti. He won the seat. So that was why it was acrimonious. And clearly, any student of politics will notice that in the 5th Parliament, that's why I had that symptoms coming on. And the Tiwa is also fondly remembered because there was also a by-election there, and that was where President Akufo-Addo is allegedly to have said that the Tiwa Yechiro will be Ketuebi. And note the date. Kakra. Yes. Chirpone by-election was 2009, and the NDP felt that because the NDC was then in power, Prof. Mills, they were beaten, they were attacked, and you know that mostly in some of these political crimes, when the police administration of the day, when you're opposition, you do not have much say. They control everything. So they felt that the Tiwa was their home. And the Tiwa, I'm talking about Bunsu. So those who don't know, when you get to Enyinem, going to Bunsu Enclave, that is a Tiwa. Now it's 2 constituencies, but then it was only 1 constituency. Now you have a Tiwa East and a Tiwa West. A Tiwa is being held by Abena Osei-Tutu, the Deputy Finance Minister, and a Tiwa West held by the current Road Minister, Kwesiamu Akwanta. But then it was 1 big constituency. So the MPP felt that the Tiwa was then, or the time was right for them to avenge whatever happened to them in Chirpone. And David, the seat was won by, that was when the current Road Minister became an MP for the first time in 2010. Kwesi Amoakon Atta. The MP then who died was called Akwesi Ankama. So that was when the violence started. Now let's go to the seat parliament. And the seat parliament began from the 7th January 2013 to the 7th January 2017. And there were also 7 by-elections. So it tells you that it mimics that in the 3rd parliament. So 7 by-elections. And there was Akache South, 2010, which was won by the NDC. There was Boom in 2013, which was won by the NDC. There was Kubungu in 2013, which was won by the CPP. And David, will you remember who was the member of parliament for Kubungu? Leo, you remember?
Rasmus Barak. Oh,
no, 2013.
No, I don't recall.
When I mentioned the name, you record the person. Let me go there. Let me go on. So there was also Talensi. You remember Talensi too? A very acrimonious by-election in 2015. There was a Memphis West in 2015. There was a Buakwan North. David Buakwan, there was okay. Do you remember Buakwan of 2016? JB Dankwedu. That was when he was murdered. And there was a Betifi.
And that case is still in court. We've been dealing going to a full court and all that.
Yes, there was a Betifi.
Sexy Gongo and test.
Yes. There was also a Betifi by-elections in 2006. Now, David, the Kubungu by-election, you remember Prof. Mills' running mate, the Alhaji Mohammed Mumuni. He was the sitting NDC MP for Kubungu. But he had an appointment to go and be the General Secretary of the African Caribbean Pacific Group. No.
Which one is that?
That is Mohammed Mumuni. Ibn Chambers one was a bit earlier. So let me give you the fun fact about Dr. Ibn Chambers. Ibn Chambers took up an ECOWAS position. I'm just getting it for you the year he went to the ECOWAS. Just a moment, I'll get it for you. Yes. So Dominic Nitiwu came and inherited the seat of Ibn Chambers because Ibn Chambers was the member of parliament for Bimbila. But he was appointed as the executive secretary of the ECOWAS in 2000 and just a moment. In 2002, so he left that seat. Then a certain 22-year-old boy, the current defense minister, contested and won. And since then, that seat has been an MPP seat forever.
So when we talk about the Nkoranza one, what also popped up was the MP at the time. Amwating, the cocaine issue came up around that time.
He was a certain member of parliament and he was arrested, I think, in the UK and was convicted.
It was US.
Okay. And was convicted of drug charges and that occasioned a by-election. So David, in Kubungu, the by-election of 2013 was occasioned because the certain member of parliament, Alhaji Mohammed Mumuni, resigned. And he had also been a former running mate, so he was a very heavyweight guy. He was going to take a position as the General Secretary of the African, Caribbean, and Pacific Group of States, which is like a UN kind of sort agency. And the MPP boycotted the election because they know certainly they couldn't win. And the NDC lost the seat to the CPP. So that is the one seat the CPP has won in this history of the by-election. And it was won by one Amadou Yaya. He beat the NDC candidate Alhaji Imoro Yakubu Pagbu. Something, forgive me the name. Now, David, the Talensi by-election was also another acrimonious by-election in our history. When you take Tripone, Etiwa, another one you mentioned readily is Talensi, then you go to Ayawaso, West Wogon. Now, David, the Talensi by-election was a seat held by the MPP, one Robert Musuru, and he was enskined as a chief. Clearly, you cannot be a chief and do active politics. So there was a by-election. That was when the former president, I think, of the Ghana Athletics Commission, our association also, BT Baba, contested on the ticket of the MPP and snatched the seat contested on the seat of the NDC and snatched the seat from the MPP. So that was a bit of acrimony. You know, people were shot at, violence, burning of officers' cars and everything. So that was what happened in Talensi.
Okay. Now, before